It is overtime here at Old Favorite Friday, where we are continuing the conversation about Brooklyn's Black Chocolate Stout. Ralph, I had a plan this week, and that plan was to start with my first Christmas beer of the season. That was the plan. Then I walked into Total Wine and More, and I saw this gem sitting there front and center in the cooler. Have not had this beer in a very long time. Loved this beer back in the day, and I said, okay, screw it. It's timely because this is a limited release. Got to do this beer this week. And also, it's not even December yet, so we can push the Christmas beers down a little bit. But you've actually been out of town for a couple weeks. You haven't sat down and done one of these in a little while. I know you love stouts. What's your impressions of the Black Chocolate Stout?
So, I actually love this beer, trying it after not having it for a long time, because this to me is quintessential what I think of like an old school Imperial or Russian Imperial Stout, where you get a little more bitterness from the roast, even the hops, than just your average stout, or especially the way stouts are made today. And for 10%, it's incredibly drinkable, but it still has enough to it and enough flavor that you're drinking a big beer. And with that chocolate added to that, with that bitterness, it almost comes off as like a baker's chocolate or a dark chocolate that I personally prefer. So I really like the way it's put together.
I mean, you hit that nail right on the head. This is not sweet. This is roasty. This is bitter roasty. It's not baker's chocolate. It's not milk chocolate. I mean, this beer was produced for the first time years and years ago. Usually I try to look that up, but I didn't have the time this week. But this is a beer that fits well with Old Favorite Friday. This is one of the early chocolate stouts that I ever tried. And this is really before we got into the modern day where everything had to be sweet and over the top. Not that those beers can't be good. I mean, Southern Tier's Chocolat, it's a great beer. And that one tastes like chocolate milk, right? Yes. But this is a stout through and through, roasted malt, chocolate flavor that you're getting from the malts, as well as if they use cocoa nibs in here as well. I'm not really sure. But I can see how they can get most of that chocolate flavor just from the raw ingredients that they're using.
Yeah, 100%. And I wouldn't be surprised if this didn't have some kind of roasted barley or something like that you don't hear about as much in stouts nowadays, because it has that almost like coffee-like character. And just, the way, like I said, the way they put this together, that's one of the things that's great too, is everything blends. So it's not like too much of one thing. You're not like, oh, maybe if the hops were a little down here, where it makes a cohesive in its own way. It's definitely not chocolate milk, but it is almost like a dark chocolate drink, because everything kind of just blends to make that character.
Yeah, I was really blown away by the body of this thing, and with that real rich, full body without being cloying and sticky. Because, it's kind of a cheat. If you leave a bunch of sugar in your beer, you're going to have a big, plump mouthfeel.
For sure.
Right? That's an easy way to get that kind of viscous coating thing. It's much harder to keep that big, rich mouthfeel when your beer is this dry and drinkable.
Exactly. And that, you have to kind of depend on the malts, because you're going to want malts that obviously with that higher protein content to give you that character. But one thing I love that kind of you touched on is how not sweet it is. I mean, it's by no means is it bitter or astringent in a bad way. In fact, I think it's fantastic. But that's kind of what I was even going to say, is stouts aren't traditionally and inherently in their nature supposed to be as sweet as maybe we've taken them now. So as someone who's very much been a stout drinker for a long time, I love the fact that if this wasn't 10%, because that would get me in trouble, but I would love to drink this all the time, because it is a stout in the truest traditional sense. If someone was like, hey, do you want to name a stout that you think fits perfect to the style overall in a whole, this would be one of them, because it's just so true to what it is.
Absolutely. This is really a great beer, and Brooklyn is a great brewery and one of the pioneers in the craft beer scene in the United States, and continues to pump out great beers. We've had people ask us to do Brooklyn Black Ops for a review. I have not seen a bottle of Black Ops in a very long time. If we ever do come across one, we will definitely do it, because Black Ops was one of the early Imperial Stouts. In the Dark Lord days and things, where you heard about these and couldn't get your hands on them. So Brooklyn knows what they're doing when it comes to the classic Imperial Stouts, and for being a pioneer in the style and many other styles that they've made incredible beers with over the years. I also want to point out that this label is upside down. Now, when I first grabbed a bottle, I thought, oh, they messed up this one. And then it comes out they're all upside down. So My guess is that this is it's a choice.
Purposeful, yep.
It's a choice, but it is something that was a little bit jarring when I first saw it. We really appreciate it. Hey, Ralph, do you have anything else you want to add about this beer?
No, just I was just gonna comment on what you said about the Black Ops 8. I think used to be one of the top 5 beers in the world on Beer Advocate when I used to still go on that all the time. So yeah, they've definitely been at the top of their game for a long while now. So.
100%. Listen, this beer is out for a limited time. It probably has limited 6-packs at your local craft beer outlet. So please, if you see it, you're not going to be disappointed. Pick this beer up. It's incredible. It still stands the test of time. And in fact, because all the other Imperial Stouts out there are so sweet and so over the top with those flavors, it differentiates itself at this point as being something really special, adding that roasted bitterness and really making a complete, well-rounded beer. So we really highly recommend you go pick one of these up. And please poke around on our YouTube channel, find some other conversations that Ralph and I have about great beers, Joel and I, some guests that we bring in from time to time, and comment and tell us what we should be drinking next week for Old Favorite Friday. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.